Welcome to TechZine TV.
Welcome to a new video of TechZine TV. We're here at the Velocity event in Eindhoven at the Evoluon. We're here with Phil Lewis. He's solution consultant at Infor.
I'm part of the solution consulting team. So, the SVP of Solution Consulting.
Yeah.
I support what we call the international region, Kuhn, which is EMEA and Asia Pacific and Japan. But my team are the people that really understand the products, work with customers, understand customer requirements, and then design and showcase the perfect solution for them going forward.
Now we're here at the Velocity Day.
Yes.
It's all about your Velocity suite and a bit about your ERP systems, because I saw some smaller sessions as well today. You mainly focus here on two different ERPs. That's the LN and the M3. Can you explain a bit what the difference is between those?
Yeah, sure. So this is actually fundamental to our strategy. Infor has always been an industry-specific organization. We have never believed that you can have one ERP that can support somebody that bakes cakes and somebody that makes sports cars.
Okay.
We think the fundamental requirements are completely different. So we do have ERP cores, which are completely tailored towards particular industries. We have a core for discrete manufacturing, which is industrial manufacturing, automotive, aerospace and defense. And the core of those discrete verticals is actually called ERP-LN. Very well known here in the Netherlands because it came from the Bahn organization. Okay. And Bahn lives on within all of our discrete cloud suites today. Then when you look at kind of like the process world, where people are brewing beer, making wine, baking cakes, dairy products, protein, that actually requires a completely different set of capabilities and features and functions. That sits within an ERP core that we call M3. M3 was created, designed, developed in Sweden. Okay. And that forms the core for all of our food and beverage verticals, our chemicals, manufacturing, but also distribution and fashion. So when you look across those discrete manufacturing verticals and process manufacturing verticals, it's LN that is the core ERP for discrete, and it's M3 that is the core ERP for process.
Okay. I also noticed that you work with a lot of micro verticals, because the things you already mentioned, you only mentioned two ERP systems, but still a dozen different types of companies. So every customer gets its own micro template thing, or how should I look at it?
Not every customer. Every customer will get the template for the micro vertical that they sit within. And so I said at the very start that we've always had this philosophy of being industry specific. But industry specific means that you support food and beverage. Yeah. But as I just mentioned, even within food and beverage, there are huge differences between somebody that milks a cow and somebody that brews beer, or somebody that bakes a cake.
But there is some overlap between those, I guess.
There's a lot of overlap
because it gets
absolutely
somewhere.
There's a lot of overlap in food and beverage, shelf life, yield.
So the micro verticals are also, part of a subset. Yeah, that has an overlap. But
exactly. So you have your food and beverage. We call it an IPC, an industry process catalog. Okay. And then there are additions to that IPC which will be specific to the micro vertical. Okay.
So when you sign up a new customer, you decide with them which IPC is the best suitable for them.
Exactly that. And we actually go through a process with our customers before implementation, actually during the sales cycle, that we call the engage process, where we actually sit down with them and we, in considerable detail, we go through process by process to understand exactly how our IPC will work for them and what they need to do to adopt that micro-vertical specific capability that we have.
And if it doesn't line up completely, do you try to get them to fit within one of the micro verticals, or do you adapt a vertical for them?
The answer is it depends.
Okay.
We're talking about the cloud now, and the big difference with cloud to being on premise is that customers really need to adopt best practices when they move to the cloud.
Yeah, the cloud is more fit to standard, and on-prem was also build it on your own and fit it to your own.
On-premise was almost kind of like, it's yours, you can have what you want.
Yeah.
And that got people into a lot of hot water.
Yeah.
And I think, the industries that we work with, people understand that, that you can't have everything tailor-made.
Yeah, and
made to measure anymore.
As an organization, you can also learn from a fit to standard principle, because sometimes it just works better with more efficient
And exactly right. And also, best practices, they're not defined by Infor. They're defined by Infor after talking to the customers that we have around the world in these micro verticals to say, what is it you need? Yeah. How's your industry changing? What are the trends? What do we need to think about to build into our micro vertical IPCs going forward? So, it's not kind of like this is Infor's view of the world. We're talking to a bunch of dairy organizations, and dairy organizations are telling us this is the best way to work today. And so another dairy organization comes along, they have that confidence that they're actually adopting a best practice approach based on other dairy customers and other dairy organizations. But I guess the big message here really is that being industry specific at the top level industry just is not enough. You have to come down to that micro vertical level, because we want customers to be using software and technology that is purpose built for exactly what they do every day. Even at the food and beverage level, that's not enough. As you say, that food and beverage level is probably going to cover 60% of what you do. And then there'll be another 30%, which will be micro vertical specific. And then there'll be 10%, which might be specific to the customer. And that's where we look at things like Velocity Suite. Yeah. We look at things like extensibility, and we have various capabilities that enable us to extend our micro vertical specific solution, but not going anywhere near that dreaded modification word. Because it's
you already mentioned the future is more in the cloud, so you're also focusing your ERP products now in the cloud, and on top of that cloud ERP is also the Velocity Suite. I learned AWS for you because you built everything on top of AWS.
Yeah, AWS are a super important partner to Infor. We've been partnering with them now for 11 years. So we actually started our cloud strategy in 2014. We launched our first multi-tenanted cloud suite in 2017. This is not something that we've just been working on for the last couple of years. And AWS are so important to us because we see two approaches to SaaS. We see two approaches to the cloud, and we kind of differentiate those approaches by saying you can be on the cloud or you can be in the cloud. If somebody takes an old legacy ERP system and installs it in somebody else's data center, that's on the cloud.
Yeah.
They're just taking advantage of
lift and shift,
traditional hyperscaler capabilities. AWS have about 400 amazing web services that do incredible things, as well as their hyperscaler capabilities. So that's what we've done with our solutions. Is that a typical cloud suite will use somewhere between 100 and 130 AWS services to make it work.
Yeah.
We use AWS services to move data around. We use AWS services to store data. We use AWS services as the backbone for our Gen AI capabilities.
Means that it's not a choice, it's kind of a demand. You can't say, I want to run it on Azure, because it's simply not possible, because you're hooked into those cloud native AWS services.
We are completely hooked into AWS.
If you look at the European market, in some countries, Azure is bigger. I believe in some countries, even Google Cloud is now doing really, really well. What happens if most of your data that you kind of want to use or import or add or whatever is in Azure, for example?
Yeah,
Can you hook that into your AWS Infor ERP system?
From a reporting perspective, from an analytics perspective, from a even from a large language model perspective, from a business intelligence perspective, the answer is yes. Yeah. If a customer comes to us and says, "I love you, Infor, I want your cloud suite, but I want it in Azure," the answer is no. Yeah. Because we are so hardwired into the AWS Web Services infrastructure to do all of these incredible things. Our systems can't run without that. Yeah. Essentially. So yes, we can combine all of the data sources under the sun from an analytics perspective, a reporting perspective. But when it comes to actually running your business, from a transactional perspective, from an ERP perspective, from a warehouse management and supply chain perspective, it's AWS.
Okay. You also have a data fabric for that then? And that's because everybody says they have a data fabric nowadays. Yep. So how extensive is it?
Well, we've had a data fabric for 10 years. Again, we use S3 as kind of the core of that. We established a service-oriented architecture approach a long time ago, probably 15 years ago, as a mechanism to do integration between our products. And we developed, we didn't develop it actually, we used an open source approach for messaging. So XML going from one system to another, publish and subscribe. This is all age-old terminology here, but we chose a format which was called OAGIS. And those OAGIS documents that move between systems, we called them BODs, Business Object Documents. And so it's a long story, but I'll try and keep it short. But whatever I do within my ERP, if I create a customer or an item or a vendor, or I process a transaction, like it's a sales order or an invoice, it publishes a BOD. It publishes an OAGIS version of that transaction. So this is where we started. Yeah. And so that proved to be really useful for integrating systems because it was all loosely coupled. It was all standards based. There was no hardwired integration. We'd moved away from that, which made it very flexible, very fast, and very straightforward to configure. But then we had this brainwave, and we kind of thought, right, if I'm creating all of these transactions and I can almost have like a replica transaction for all of my master data and all of my transactional data to integrate my systems, wouldn't it be useful to put a copy of everything into a central data repository? And so we thought, well, yes, because that would be really useful from a reporting perspective, from a BI perspective. This is way before we even had things like Gen AI and large language models. And so we've been working with AWS, and we realized that they had this unstructured data repository called S3. So we chose that as our data lake. And the data lake is the thing that forms the core of our data fabric. So we've got all of our applications that are publishing this information. We're using pipelines and things like that now, and we're using data streaming rather than BODs. BODs are still in existence, but they're not as prevalent as they used to be. But everything goes into the data lake. And so it doesn't just have to be Infor data. We can it's unstructured, so we can put spreadsheets, we can put CSV files, we can put PDFs, we can put anything in there, and that forms the core. It does become, people hate this term, but it's the truth, the single source of truth for an organization, because I've got my warehouse management data in there, my supply chain data, my ERP data, my people, HR data is all in that central repository, which makes it so powerful when it comes to things like, oh, I need a large language model across all of that, or oh, I want business intelligence that actually looks at my whole business, not just that one particular system, where people used to connect their BI to a production database and do an ETL overnight. You're just looking at that one source of data. So having this stuff in the data lake is hugely advantageous. And then if they want to start using some kind of cloud-based data warehousing capability like Snowflake, then it's just a fantastic
they can import all these S3 buckets.
Yeah, exactly.
But this wasn't enough, because last year you introduced the Velocity Suite. which includes a lot of tooling on your cloud platform
Yeah.
to make your ERP software even better or enhance it with a huge feature set.
Yeah.
Um,
We're super excited about it, Coden.
They talked about a gap this morning a lot. And that's kind of where it came from, I guess, the Velocity Suite.
Yes. The gap that you talk about, we call it the value void.
Oh yeah, sorry, the value void. Yeah.
The value void, and essentially that is the expectation of what technology will deliver versus the reality.
Yeah,
and the expectation's really high. If you think about
especially
Gen
AI at the moment.
Yeah, Gen AI, the expectations up here is going to save the world.
Yeah.
And I think it's something like 98% we did a big survey, 98% of the people that we spoke to said, yeah, Gen AI is going to deliver enormous value for my organization. In reality, it's about 30%, is actually realized.
Yeah.
So that gap is what we call the value void. And, we did a lot of research and surveys into this, and we asked 3,600 companies around the world, 14 countries, 7 different industries about.
They all answered? Or?
They all answered.
Oh yeah, because you can ask, but if they don't,
those were the people that answered. So we actually asked a lot more than that. But they came back to us and they gave us some really clear messages. They said 74% of the people who responded, the ones that answered, they said that they felt that advanced technology was going to drive value within their organization. But at the same time, we were talking to people, and I've been talking to customers here today, and there is a common set of barriers, challenges that people face when it comes to advanced technology, like Gen AI, like automation. Number one, they don't know where to start. Which part of my business should I apply technology to? Where am I going to get the biggest bang for my buck?
That's been around for 10 years.
It's been around forever. The technology landscape itself doesn't make it any easier. There's 100 for Gen AI. There's 50 products out there for RPA, which is the right one for me. And also, based on my problem, what's the right technology to use? We deal with manufacturing companies, not data scientists or mathematicians or people that create algorithms. They're manufacturers. So you don't know. So I don't know where to start. I don't know how to navigate this crazy landscape that we have today around advanced technology. And number 3, like I touched on, we don't have the skills. We don't employ data scientists. We don't employ algorithmic specialists. We don't employ mathematicians. So Infor looked at that and thought, well, we've got to find a way to help.
And that's the Velocity Suite.
And Velocity Suite is all about helping. It's where we've bundled together advanced technologies like process mining, like RPA and document processing, so automation capabilities, and our AI suite that consists of, traditional AI, machine learning, but also generative AI.
Okay.
And we bundled that together with a set of services so that we can go and help our customers gain value from what Velocity Suite does.
Okay, so you have all these tools, but most of your customers are pretty large organizations. They probably already have maybe some RPA tooling in-house or some, maybe even process mining. They probably have some Gen AI around, laying around right now. What is the benefit of using the tools within Velocity Suite towards those dedicated vendors?
So some do, some don't.
Yeah.
And that's just the way of the world, that we might be, offering something that they've already got.
Yeah.
I think the biggest differentiator for us with Velocity Suite is, number one, it's already connected to the applications that you use. So Infor has always had this mantra that we don't just want to give people technology and go, there's an AI product, you figure it out. Where they have to think about how to connect it to the applications they use. They have to think about how to structure their data. They have to make sure it abides by security protocols and all of that. There's so much to do before you can start using a mining product or an AI product or an automation product. We do all of that hard work. So all of our technology, because we build it into our platform, we have an industry cloud platform. it's already connected to their data. It understands their business processes. It understands their security. It understands who their users are. It knows where the data is. So it's ready to go. It's consumable, ready to use. So that's kind of like the first thing, is that there's no overhead in terms of starting to use this technology.
And that's the same for RPA as for process mining.
Yeah. But the big difference is then, what is the process that we need to go through with our customers to make sure that they know how to drive value from that technology? And so alongside the package of technology that we have and the services offerings that we have around Velocity Suite, we also have a methodology, and it's a really simple methodology. It consists of diagnose, automate, and optimize. And so diagnose is all based around process mining. And that's the thing that really answers the question, I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Where do I start? Because we analyze how people are using their systems. We look at their business process execution data so that we can start to identify non-conformance. So people that don't conform to your standard process and the way that you want them to use the technology and the systems.
Yeah, I saw a demo. You can zoom really deep into
the
you can
detail.
See how many times the process was executed versus the one you kind of wanted them to use.
Exactly right. So you've got conforming cases and you've got non-conforming cases. Non-conforming cases are the ones to really drill into, because they're the ones that are inefficient.
Yeah.
They're non-conforming for a reason. Something is being circumnavigated that could be really important to the business, but also really harmful to the business. So all of this gets surfaced, and bottlenecks and constraints within the process, the things that slow you down, the things that make you inefficient. Process mining will surface this and say, that's where you need to start. That's the thing that's going to generate the most value if you fix it. And then that then gives us the insight and the intelligence to go, right, that's the problem. How do I address that with technology? It might not even be technology. It might be I need to train somebody to do something better.
And I also saw that if you're not using process mining at the moment from the Velocity Suite, but you are running your ERP in the cloud, you can add it and it works directly. You don't have to configure the whole process before you can analyze it.
We've done that. We've done that work. Again, trying to make things consumable and ready to use. If you're running an Infor cloud suite, an LN cloud suite, or an M3 cloud suite, multi-tenanted in the cloud, process mining is already working. It's already there, ready to go. All you need to do is subscribe to Velocity Suite and you can start gaining benefit from that.
Because you probably have a lot of customers that moved from, legacy to the cloud, and they're still looking for how to make it all better and more automation.
And there may be some opportunities there in the future. There could be some opportunities in terms of applying process mining to on-premise data sets. So you can kind of uncover some insights about, this is what we need to do when we get to the cloud. It's almost like a when you get there guide.
Yeah.
We're not doing that today. We're very much focused around diagnosing, automating, and optimizing our multi-tenanted cloud customers.
Can the process mining also give advice to automate a part of the process with RPA, for example, to make it more efficient, to take it away from the end user?
That's exactly what it does, Koen. That's the second part. So diagnose shows me where I need to, shows me the things that I need to fix, shows me the opportunities to improve. We then move into the automation phase. And one of the critical factors of automation is that we have a library of pre-built assets, automation flows, AI-driven insights, advanced user workspaces, tools that really accelerate the way people use the system, the way processes happen in the background. So we have a catalog. And so in the ideal world, mining will say you need to improve that part of your process. Let's say it's invoice processing. I know that in the Value Plus catalog, which is part of the automation phase, I have an invoice processing automation flow proven to generate a 72% increase in productivity from the customers that are using it. I take it from the catalog, deploy it, and it's up and running. it'll take days to actually start getting the value from that. So if there's something in the catalog, brilliant. You know, it's a quick win, low hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that we haven't seen before, it's not in the catalog. That's where the services offering comes in. And we can work with customers to understand the problem, understand how we can use technology to address that
Do you
problem.
see a future for AI in that, to generate a solution, an automation solution?
You're one stage ahead of me all of the time.
I try to be.
You're one stage ahead of me, because diagnose, automate, and then the final piece of the process is optimize.
Okay.
Optimize is where we start to look at our AI capabilities, machine learning, digital assistant, but also all of the amazing things that we can do with generative AI, and think, right, how can I now use those capabilities to optimize?
And how?
Thank you for watching TechZine TV, the channel about enterprise technology that brings you IT insights and analyses from events all around the globe. We cover everything, everywhere. Visit techzine.eu for more written in-depth articles and analysis, or keep watching techzine.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels and share your favorite videos with your colleagues. We'll see you soon.